the big game on Sunday, Manchester City against Manchester United. So we are looking ahead to what happens to be the 197th edition of the Manchester Derby in the Premier League. Or we're talking about what to expect, key issues, and probably the score predictions. And of course, again, we have Iseye on the board. Iseye, what do you think about this particular game? Insights. Manchester City against Manchester United.
Man City against Man United, the Manchester Derby. So, looking at the Manchester Derby, it has always been historic, it has always been heroic, and this time around is not going to be an exception. Playing at the Etihad, tough one, but looking at the current form of Manchester City for the past one, getting to the second season, it hasn't been easy. Having a fantastic striker, Erling Haaland, the out move of key players such as Kevin De Bruyne, who have been a fantastic top assist supplier to Erling Haaland. So you also look at the shaking defense and the outgoing two of their goalkeeper, Ederson. It hasn't been easy with Manchester City. But the incoming goalkeeper at Manchester City, I believe this time around, they are going to turn the table. Looking at Manchester United, the outgoing to Trabzonspor, Andre Onana, good one, shaking one. And I believe that we are going to watch a brilliant show at the Etihad, and there will be lot and lot of drama, tension, tempers will be high, and there will be much of the yellow cards will be dished out. The yellow card will be dished out. Playing corner kicks will also be a good option. So these are areas that we should look at it very keenly. Ruben Amorim trying to put up, still building, Manchester City rejuvenating, and I believe that they will meet at the confluence.
Okay, so let's take it from what you said. Okay, the first thing first, both teams have had a shaky start to the season, right? Manchester City has dropped points
Exactly.
and definitely are under pressure to bounce back. Manchester United have had a mix of results, one draw, one win, and one loss. But now let's talk about the home advantage. What do you think, Manchester City at the Etihad? Does this give them an edge over Manchester United?
Absolutely, yes. It gives them an edge, but just a little percentage, because these are two top football clubs in the same city, Manchester. We should not downplay Man United. We should not look at Man United as an underdog when it comes into this Manchester derby, because much is expected, not just from the players, especially from the coach. And I believe that he's not going to look at individual performance, because football, that is why we call it a team. And calling it a team, for the most be what we call that collective effort. And that collective effort, that determination, that push, they don't need to part, they need to push. And that push can only come from players who have that zeal, to make their names, to come up to the landmark. And coming up to the landmark, it can always be through the Manchester Derby. They need to regain that confidence, to build that fans base back, and make sure that something positive comes out of it. That is why I predicted that Manchester United should not go in to draw this game. Manchester United should go in with the mindset of winning this game, and they will do it. The mindset is what carries football.
Yeah, so despite Manchester United flaws, it's obvious that when they come against the big teams, Arsenal, so that they played against Arsenal, and as a Manchester derby, we are also expecting United to play well as they have done. But now let's move on to the team news. Injuries. Manchester City has a lot of injured players, so many injured players. Mateusz Kovacic, Omar Mamouche, the list is long of so many players. Savinho is also out. Ryan Cherki probably is going to be out. Do you think I know Rico Lewis. So many players in
So many
Manchester
players.
City are out for this particular game. Do you think that this is also going to favor Manchester United?
Signing players, being part of the squad doesn't make you an underdog. I look at the players to be at equilibrium. It just depends on the current performance, the current form of each and every player. Stepping Erling Haaland aside, bringing in another striker, he can perform. Look at what Jack Grealish is doing right now. Still in the same league. Change of club, change of mentality, change of idea. Jack Grealish is riding home back positively. Look at the number of assists. I believe at this present dispensation, he cannot be matched with any present Manchester City player with given the number of assists he had already. So that is why you see me, I press a lot on the mentality of the players,
So talking
the
about
psychology.
mentality, talk about psychology, irrespective of the injuries, between Manchester City, in one word, between Manchester City and Manchester United, which of these set of players have a more stable mindset now
A
to play
more
this game?
stable mindset at this present moment. I see Manchester United. That is
Okay.
why I'm giving them that positive.
Okay, then now to Manchester United, new signing Cunha is a doubt for Manchester United. Of course, Lisandro Martinez is out. Do you think the absence of Cunha is going to affect this game?
Cunha is a good player. Obviously, it is going to affect this game, but I don't see it affecting the results. It is going to affect this game, but I don't see it affecting the results.
Okay, and now to one thing we mentioned on the start of the game, the goalkeeping situation in both teams. Edison, uh, he left for Fenerbahce, and James Trafford, who was first of all in Manchester City, was sold to Burnley, was brought back to be the number one, and now we have Donnarumma.
Donnarumma from
Donnarumma now was now,
PSG.
yeah, from PSG.
PSG.
Do you think between Donnarumma and Trafford, who is going to start this game for Manchester City?
It just depends on the coach because both goalkeepers, to me, they are in good forms. And stepping in Donnarumma, a change of league, a change of mentality, it can affect the game positively, it can affect the game also negatively. So it is a 50-50. I see it at equilibrium,
But what
50-50.
about the experience of Donnarumma?
The
He's a goalkeeper
experience
meant
of
for the big games.
Donnarumma, he's meant for the big game. And stepping in, he just want to get into the limelight. He want to create records and he want to gain that position. Coming in as a big name doesn't mean that you will be the number one. That is why I believe in the mentality. Ruben Amorim believes in your current performance at the training ground before stepping you in into the match. That is what most of the coaches are looking at. But the fans and other football pundits just keep ranting in terms of past records, history. History can repeat itself, but history is something that we made mention of because by its definition, it is the past, the present, and the future. There are some past that cannot determine the present, and there are some presents that cannot be linked to the future. So anything can happen.
Okay, so you mentioned Ruben Amorim there, and we have the controversial one this week. Number one goalkeeper, senior goalkeeper, more experienced goalkeeper, Andre Onana, moving from Manchester United to Trabzonspor on loan for the remainder of the season.
When Onana's issue was brought up, you realize that Onana's mentality and lifting up of soldier. That is how I looked at Onana. Onana is struggling to lift up his soldier. Stepping into a big club, pressure. That is what should come at the back of your mind. Pressure. Not just looking at the finance. Stepping into Manchester United, Onana looked at himself to be very comfortable with that financial situation. But he failed to understand that Manchester United is a very big club and having a very broad fan base. And they are expecting at this point in time results. Since the stepping down of Sir Alex Ferguson, Manchester United have had numerous coaches, and what they have been expecting is all about what? Result. Onana was a good goalkeeper. And you and I can bet it here that looking at the World Cup situation in Brazil, from Rigobert Song beef with Onana, you look at the present situation, Onana and Ruben Amorim. I see Onana, I can describe Onana as a back egg. Not that I have hatred for Onana. He's somebody I respect much. I enjoyed his football career. I enjoyed his performance. But Onana should lie low. Onana should lie low.
Okay, Onana should lie low, but I have a little discrepancy to say with you because calling Onana a bad egg doesn't suit well. I think the idea is because he's made a lot of mistakes, goalkeeping mistakes, which have actually cost him, and he's in the limelight for negative reasons. But then come to make reference, Onana is not the only star player who has faltered on Manchester United at the moment. Irrespective of Ruben Amorim, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Marshall, Anthony,
Paul
Jordan
Pogba,
Sancho.
many
No.
of them.
So is it that these players are against the policies of Manchester United, or there is something wrong in Manchester United?
Mourinho said it all in one word. And that's where Manchester United went wrong. Until date, Mourinho sees coming second at the Premier League as one of his biggest achievements. When you reconcile the statement of Mourinho and the club, and you look at the present situation, Manchester United have just been creeping, and still stagnant. They revolve around that statement. Only when Manchester United will accept realities.
So is it right to blame players or the system of the club? Because these players, some of them didn't play under Mourinho, some of them didn't play under Ten Hag, some of them didn't play under Ralph Rangnick, Michael Carrick, and Giggs. So is it about the players?
Looking at the days of David Moyes, that was the first after Sir Alex Ferguson, before the others, you realize that the problem of Manchester United is not only about the players, but some players have decided to gang up to form what we call petty groups, and these have not been positive enough. That is why when you look at the clean up of the dressing room by Ruben Amorim, he wants players not by their names, but by their performances in the club, not former clubs. What you put in the training ground, that is what he's looking for, not names. He's looking for energy, determination, those who are ready to sacrifice, to give in their all. That is what Man U be.
You keep mentioning Ruben Amorim, but I think that there is more to this than just what you're saying. Because okay, let's look at the players who went out on loan. Garnacho wasn't a bad player. He
Fine.
wasn't, but he made a statement at the Europa League final that he couldn't have played all of these games, helping the club to reach the final. And the final, he's been benched. I think that's why he had a fallout with Amorim. So I don't think it's a calm. For Onana's case, is that United didn't qualify for the Champions League or any European competition, and they had a 25% discount in salaries, which he went back to ask for an increase in salary, which made the board angry with him. If you talk about performance, by Indy, which also there is not a very good goalkeeper. Lamens, whom they have brought in, is not also a very good goalkeeper. So I think it's not just about performance, but there is more going on at the administrative forms of Manchester United. Remember that if the top is not going well, it's not going to reflect on the pitch.
Believe me or not, from the bottom of your mind, every player, every staff who is not comfortable with the current situation of a particular club or at his job site should at least understand a situation. Going in for salary increment, I first mentioned, look at it, I mentioned finance, and Anybody who is trying to give in his all, there are certain things that comes to that. Sacrifices. Despite the fact that some who would sacrifice their all, at the end, they are still left behind. But the world is watching. That is why when you look at the football melee, many things are happening. You look at a particular player, say, hey, this player is downplaying this player, but out of a sudden, the club don't want the player again. But a bigger club is looking for that player because they follow your record. What you say, what you do, and what you give in, it counts a lot.
So quickly, so do you think Trabzonspor have definitely seen Onana? They've definitely heard the stories. So do you think that they don't know the kind of caliber of goalkeeper they are getting to their club?
Trabzonspor is getting a quality goalkeeper. Andre Onana is a quality goalkeeper.
So his quality doesn't match Manchester United.
Not that his quality doesn't match in Manchester United. There are some points in time that somebody might be at his best 100%, giving in his best, but creating disorder. And what you are looking at is a team. We are not playing table tennis here. We are not playing long tennis. We are playing football. It is a collective effort. If Onana covers the pole very well and the defense is shaking, Onana cannot do anything. The ball must go at the back of the net because of that lack of collective effort, unity. But if Onana is not really at his best and the team is united, it will be very difficult to predict.
Okay, so quickly, let's talk the tactics of this game. How do you think City is going to approach this game?
City is going to approach this game with speed at the beginning of the game. Go in. These are the words that I believe Guardiola is going to tell his guys. Step in. Speed. Counter attack. Put Man United under pressure. Face Man United. Within the first 15 minutes, make sure that we get a goal. And if you are not careful, both teams might score within the first 20 minutes. Because it will be forward, backward with high speed. Nobody would like to step into the shoes of the other. Man City would prefer that Man United should try to study the game that they come with. Man United also want Man City to study their formation. And with that speed of light, there will be firework.
Yeah, but of course, I expect City to be a little bit defensively tight because their usual fair share of defenders are not there. I also expect City to be highly offensive with Eli Haaland and creating a lot in the midfield and to use their
The
wingers
wingers.
as well. Okay, Amorim, of course, I expect United to also absorb a lot of early pressure
Pressure.
and hit on the counter attack more than City playing on the counter attack. And of course, United are always going to use their win back. And I think that the the experience of Casemiro in the midfield is also going to be very, very important in this game. So
That is it.
that is it. So said quickly again, who is going to win the Manchester Derby, the
Man United.
197th Manchester Derby?
Manchester United.
So Manchester United, according to Isaiah, is going to win Manchester City on Super Sunday. So let's wait and see how this game is going to unfold. So, but hopefully, I believe that Manchester City is going to defeat Manchester United.